Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. I'm not exactly a Super Bowl preview, but we're getting to the Super Bowl preview show. And Jack is finally back.
I feel like I haven't talked football in a long time.
It's been weeks.
It's probably been about a month.
We're doing a lot of reaction shows. We have Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia.
I've been watching, though. I've been watching you guys.
Yeah,
I've been watching the recordings.
Yeah, you're one of the guys.
It's going to be back now.
And then, of course, joining us, actually, not joining us, is Zach Bloomquist. Instead, we have Mrs. Bloomquist filling in for producer Zach tonight.
The real best EP in the game.
Yeah, the best executive producer in the game, Mrs. Bloomquist. That's where Zach gets all his skills from. If we had more cameras, we'd really put you to the test, Mrs. Bloomquist.
Yeah, not that quick.
And I said right off the top, most of the time people can't hear Zach talking into his mic because he's looking down like exhausted. But Mrs. Bloomquist, right off the bat, talking into the microphone is a huge plus.
I can hear it perfectly.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Zach's got to take notes.
At least you know the mic works.
Yeah. So the microphone works. We don't need to get new equipment. And we have a really fun show planned. We're going to go through The Athletic. Mike Jones wrote a piece about the 10 best storylines or 10 storylines he's paying attention to for the Super Bowl. We're just going to run through those and say whether or not we're interested in them because we already disagree on which storylines are capturing our attention. Later, we'll hit Kliff Kingsbury to the Commanders, and Ziggy's very upset about Ben Johnson and the Commanders. However, this story is breaking down. Ziggy has some big problems with what's going on over in Washington.
Who's Ben Johnson again?
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, the Lions offensive coordinator.
That got a laugh out of Mrs. Blomquist.
And then the brightest NFC North future. That's how we'll close the show between the Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings. Which team would you want to be a fan of for the next 5 years? Don't give your answer away. We have to keep people listening.
There's only one wrong answer.
Packers, Lions, Vikings.
Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings. NFC North. Yeah.
There's one wrong answer.
Yeah, I know. We'll get there. So why don't we start off then with the 10 storylines around the Super Bowl, Chiefs 49ers, that are capturing attention and whether or not we're interested in them. The first one that Mike Jones from The Athletic wrote was Las Vegas as the host city. This is the first time they're hosting a Super Bowl. They've hosted the Pro Bowl before. They've had the draft there, but never the Super Bowl. And, with such a big game, Vegas is a pretty tempting place. I mean, Jack, if you were in the Super Bowl, Las Vegas would be a horrible place. I can't imagine having a team quarterbacked by Jack go to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. You'd show up hungover, out of money. It'd be a disaster.
And it'd be my best game ever played, like Johnny Manziel. No, I would need like 3 or 4 coaches to stay by my side the entire trip.
It's funny. The teams are both staying about 45 minutes away from the Strip. I don't think any of us really care about this one. It's just kind of a fun little nugget there.
I think this is something that some of our older fans, who've really been following the NFL for 30, 40 years, I think they will see this as a big deal. Because it represents a lot of change in the NFL and how differently things are done now compared to the good old days. But, if you're like 22, sports gambling's been legal for what, like 5-6 years now? Mm-hmm. Who cares?
Here's the thing. Like, Vegas is a cool place. We've been there. It's fun. But it used to have so much draw because it was the only place on the planet I can walk in and say, hey, give me the Steelers -3.
On the planet?
Yeah, now it's like...
Jack, there are other countries, right?
All right, well, fine.
Is this another Brazilian
in the United States? But now you can do it anywhere. I mean, it lost its appeal to me when gambling became legal around the country, pretty much in most of the places.
You also can't do it anywhere. In most states, it's illegal to gamble on sports.
But not. Okay, but I can phone you up, Ziggy, but go places bet. Like you can phone me.
No one's betting on it. No one's betting on it. All right. The second story. The second story here is Patrick Mahomes' pursuit of greatness. And it is crazy to think that this is the 4th Super Bowl now for Patrick Mahomes. He's chasing his 3rd Lombardi trophy before even turning 29 years old. If he wins this year, he joins Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, and Troy Aikman as the only quarterbacks in NFL history with at least 3 Super Bowl trophies, which is, think about how spoiled the Chiefs are. After years and years and years of failure, they're at the point now where 5 years, 3 Super Bowls. It's just...
it's not even special anymore.
No, I know. Well, we haven't talked about the Chiefs a lot of the time because they're just so damn good. Yeah, there's not much to say. I mean, this year's been a little more interesting than in the past, but yeah, Mahomes personally, if he wins this one, I think we're going to start to shift the conversation to really, can he, maybe not catch Brady, but can
get
he
within shooting?
Brady?
Yeah. I mean, he can, if he wins this, I mean, you're talking 3 Super Bowls, as he said, before he turns 29. Again, getting to 7, extremely unlikely. But it puts him back in that conversation of one of the best of all time. And it would be as good a run over 5 years as any team has ever had in NFL history.
Jack, are you captivated by that storyline?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super interesting this year too because the Chiefs were kind of vulnerable this whole season. Finished 10-7. We were talking about how there was a world that if it was Steelers Chiefs in the first round, the Steelers were going to go in there and beat them.
Were we?
Me, Ziggy, and Zach.
I could never.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
like,
look, this is.
You could have seen a world like there's no Tyreek Hill now. You have 7 losses. No one's. The talk was Baltimore, Buffalo was coming on, the Dolphins. No one talked about the Chiefs, and now in a down year, they're back in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I think Brady is a GOAT and will always be the GOAT. But it's appealing to me. Yeah, I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the worst Chiefs team of Patrick Mahomes' tenure. Probably.
No, we talked about this a few times because of the defense. We said,
the defense is good, but if you look at total team quality, I think this is the weakest surrounding cast if you consider both offense and defense he's ever had, and they are making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you were 10-7. We were talking about the Broncos cashing them in the AFC West in Week 15.
Oh yeah, at one point it looked like they might get caught.
Yeah,
and the offense turned it up. The third point that Mike Jones talked about, Andy Reid's growing legacy, and this is another one. Kind of similar, to Mahomes here. Reid's been here this whole time. It's his 5th Super Bowl appearance, 19 years after his debut. That's the first Super Bowl I actually remember, was Andy Reid's debut, the 24-21 loss the Eagles had to the Patriots. First memory I have of watching a Super Bowl game. Now, if Reid wins, he'd be one of 6 coaches ever to go back-to-back, joining Bill Belichick, Chuck Noll, Don Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Mike Shanahan, and Vince Lombardi. And he's already one of 13 coaches to have multiple Super Bowl titles. We're talking about if he wins another one, gets to 3. Only 4 in the history of football have 3 or more Super Bowls. This Andy Reid is also approaching, similar to Mahomes in the GOAT conversation. Andy Reid is kind of pushing on the brink of a top 5 coach ever with 1 or 2 more Super Bowls.
I don't care about this much at all.
Well, you don't care about coaches at all. I mean, which is ridiculous.
He has the best quarterback in the world.
See, didn't you say you might agree with Jack? I thought you texted that in the group chat.
We can talk. This is off-season content. We can talk about my reasoning later and coming around on it. For me, the reason it's tough to care is just because Andy Reid's a Hall of Fame lock. He's a great coach, but for some reason, it's just not as captivating as watching Patrick Mahomes go out there and every single play, fight for his life to get the Chiefs going. The coach, it's just never as interesting.
All right, Mike messed up with that one.
I think if Andy Reid coached the Steelers, were 9-8. I just think Mahomes is just so amazing.
All right, we'll stop talking about it. The fourth storyline, and we can move off this one immediately. The evolution of the Chiefs defense. Yes, very cool. They're holding opponents to 13.7 points per game this postseason. We'll see how that goes against San Francisco's offense, who is number 2 in yards and points per game, only behind Zach's Dolphins. The evolutions of the Chiefs defense. A fun storyline, but doesn't really get our attention. This one actually captivates me. And you guys said it doesn't captivate you. I'm enjoying the Travis Kelce-Taylor Swift narrative.
So we're just skipping over the Chiefs defense to talk about Taylor Swift. That's the kind of show we are.
Yeah.
What is this?
We're skipping over one of the most incredible positional group turnarounds with basically no free agent investment outside one guy in the past decade to talk about a pop star.
We've seen it for weeks now. He'll catch the ball. She'll be shown in the booth yelling and screaming. Who cares?
Yeah, no, look, I have zero problem with Taylor Swift and putting her on the broadcast. I want to be clear, right? I think putting her on is fine. She's on for 30 seconds.
No, I don't care. I don't care.
But I'd much rather, it's not about football, so I'm not interested. I respect people who care about Taylor Swift.
Would you like to weigh in on this?
It's football.
I just want to say, do you think it was all more a publicity stunt? To get more people in for the Chiefs?
No, I actually think that this is 2 people who I don't want to say these are 2 people who are in love here. I don't know that.
I'm not saying they're not in love. They're in love. They're not in love. Yes, that's fine. But how do you bring in all the girls to get into women and everything?
And it's just so funny how once they become a thing, the odds are stacked against the Chiefs, and they find their way back at the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to win it. Yeah, that's the script.
It couldn't go better. The New Heights podcast, ever since, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, ever since the New Heights started, Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl, Travis Kelce starts dating the most popular person on the planet right now. Since we don't need to go too long into this, but I actually do find it pretty interesting because even though, look, who cares how many times she's on the camera, but we are talking about the most famous person, or one of the most famous people in the world. And I think that's entertaining to see her she holds that much power. She has her own audience. Like, I think it's fun for the NFL to bring in this other audience. Who cares? I saw a great tweet from someone. He was saying, who cares how you start to like football? Or like my dad started rooting for the Vikings because they were purple. They were the purple people eaters.
That's like you too.
Yeah, it's like me. Like we have dumb reasons for liking teams. So what?
No, it'll be super neat to get that sort of audience who that is not interested, who will tune into the game just because of her. Like my sisters, those girls of the world.
It'll be like when I start dating Olivia Rodrigo and people start tuning into this podcast.
And I'm dating Livy Dunn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the exact same thing.
I'm excited to see that, though. And I did find it absurd that the Japan embassy tweeted out that Taylor Swift can make the Super Bowl because it's a 17-hour flight or whatever it is.
Who do you think's more
Time
bendy, me or Livy Dunn?
Livy Dunn.
Yeah,
Significantly.
probably. Yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Ziggy's going to lead the show. Okay, number 6. The unfinished... Actually, I like this one a lot. The unfinished business for the 49ers.
That's my number 1.
This is a great storyline that really people have not been talking about lately. The past 5 years, San Francisco has 4 playoff appearances, 2 NFC championship wins. This is a team that's made 3 straight NFC championship games. Like the greatest Viking seasons of my life are 2009 and 2017. Like that's it. That's the only time I've seen them go to the NFC championship game. You haven't seen the Steelers for years. NFC championship game, AFC championship game seasons are like very special to fans. Zach has never seen one with the Dolphins. Like the fact that the 49ers have gone to 3 straight, they just keep knocking on the door and are trying to pound it down. Like this is a great shot redemption, especially against a team that beat them.
Has Zach seen beyond a wild card?
No, no. I feel terrible for him.
Yeah, this is my number 1 because I remember I was watching that Super Bowl, 2020, 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and the Niners had that game won.
It was over.
It was over, and then at the end of the game, you see Kittle on the sideline. Yeah, I'll be back here with vengeance. They're not going to get the best of me. Blah blah blah. Bosa said the same thing. So I mean, I'm intrigued by that. I'll be on the
hard to get back.
I'll be betting against the Chiefs once again. So I'll be on the Niners.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I like the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see there are a couple big players, as you say, for the 49ers that have been around since that game. I mean, DeForest Buckner and Richard Sherman are gone, but George Kittle, Nick Bosa, most importantly, Kyle Juszczyk, like all of those guys have been around. Yeah, like they got to get that close in the Super Bowl and win that way is really painful. I wonder, the Chiefs don't feel the same way. I think they've been here a lot of times and they're always prepared for games and whatever. But I'm interested to see if that gives the 49ers an edge because they are going to come out ready to dominate.
There are enough pieces on each side of the football for this to be a revenge game. Most of the stars are from the same teams.
I also do think the Chiefs are near impossible to pick against, but I do think that the 49ers are a more talented, better team than the Chiefs.
Well, this is a better 49ers team than the team we had a few years ago, especially offensively.
That was Jimmy G.
And probably a worse Chiefs. I mean, the offense is worse for the Chiefs. The defense is better.
And we're seeing a pick 'em. I mean, the Niners should be a 6-point favorite here.
Oh, we'll talk more about the game itself on the Thursday show. I think Kansas City. I like Kansas City in this one, but we'll get into that. Here's another fun little fact. Actually, I skipped ahead. Hold on, the fun fact's coming. The Brock Purdy validation storyline. 17-4 in 21 starts in the regular season, Brock Purdy.
There is no validation storyline. Brock Purdy's been bad during the playoffs. He's going to continue to be bad. It's that simple.
Well, isn't that what validation would be?
Validation's not winning games. It's playing well. And that's not going to happen.
And winning the Super Bowl.
I mean, I think if Brock Purdy goes and slices up this Chiefs team and wins the Super Bowl,
that's huge for him.
Any sort of doubt is out the window.
I think
it's one game.
The fact
he's had a mediocre season,
but a Super Bowl.
He's had a very good season
against the top 7 defense in the league.
It's one game. No player's legacy can be defined by one game. I'm sorry. I know people care a whole lot about the Super Bowl, and they should. But one game validating a player is ridiculous.
Oh, I mean, I think when you're 24 playing in the Super Bowl against Mahomes, who's been there a million times, and you win,
that could change the whole mindset you have.
I think that's validation.
Like Ziggy, one thing that we're questioning about the Chiefs following the 49ers over the past few weeks is And most people are not. Let's just clarify that. Most people are still in big support of Brock Purdy. But some people are watching these games saying, yeah, he doesn't look really good. What if we had someone else? What if we had, just throwing names out, what if we had like a Kirk Cousins? Is that a better option? Probably is. But winning the Super Bowl, I mean, that's as far as you can take a team. If Brock Purdy goes and beats the Chiefs, that's huge.
I've also come around a little. I used to always say a lot of it was his weapons around him. I don't think a good, obviously it helps, but I think he's a very solid quarterback. Like, I don't think you can put
watch the
many
games,
quarterbacks.
pal. Watch the games, pal.
I don't think you can put many quarterbacks in his spot and they would do better.
I will say I went
true.
through every quarterback in the NFL just a couple days ago, ranking them if I would have them or Purdy. I had Purdy at 17 or 18 in the league. He's a solid quarterback.
I put him higher than that.
Yeah, I think he's he's probably about an average quarterback in the NFL with who's really good at what he's asked to do.
But yeah, right. Like there's half the QBs in the NFL you wouldn't take over him in the Niners system.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
can we move on to a real story?
Okay, Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan, they would be the first father-son tandem to each win a Super Bowl as head coaches. And Kyle Shanahan has had his fair share of heartbreak. We talked about the 2019 game against the Chiefs, up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. They give up 21 straight points and lose. He was also the offensive coordinator for the Falcons in the 28-3 Patriots game. So Shanahan, like the 49ers as a whole, but Shanahan has really been right there twice to winning a Super Bowl and has come up with two huge collapses. It would be kind of cool for him. His father it was in San Francisco the last time they won the Super Bowl in 1994. A nice full circle moment for him. You interested in that at all, Ziggy?
I think that Kyle Shanahan has more to gain or lose legacy-wise than any other player or any coach at the Super Bowl.
Well, that sounds
it's that
like you're
simple.
Interested.
I mean, if Shanahan doesn't win this, it's unlikely he's going to, it'll be a while before he gets another chance. Just by the numbers, he may never get another one. And he'll always be remembered as the choker. If you win a Super Bowl, I mean, Andy Reid obviously has gone on to do a lot, but nobody cared that Andy Reid lost that Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl after he won one with the Chiefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you win one Super Bowl, nobody cares about anything else in your career up to that point. Shanahan's got to bring this one home.
Yeah, if he loses this one to this same team who he choked against, again, that's totally different than...
That's the favorite now?
People forget about that loss if you can avenge it now.
Was Kansas City favored in 2019?
Yeah.
I believe so, right?
I had the Niners as a dog. Came close.
Oh, you had them as a dog?
They lost by 11.
Yeah, no, the Kyle Shanahan story, I find that really... It's a lot of redemption for the 49ers. And that's kind of what we've come down to is 49ers players sort of trying to prove that they're winners, and the Chiefs they keep dominating.
That'll also be all Niners fans in Vegas, too. Oh, my gosh.
Do you know who Kyle Shanahan's favorite player was growing up?
Why would I know that?
How old's Kyle Shanahan?
Oh, wait, I think I might have a guess.
Yeah. You're going to get it here.
Ed McCaffrey.
Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Ed McCaffrey was Kyle Shanahan's favorite player, which, this leads us into the Christian McCaffrey story.
My dad knew Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah, the ninth. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Good friends?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Didn't Ed McCaffrey win a Super Bowl with Mike Shanahan?
3 Super Bowls. He won one in 1994 with the 49ers, the last time they won. Then he went to Denver with Shanahan and won 2 more Super Bowls.
I forgot about that.
And so Kyle, growing up, his favorite player was Ed McCaffrey because he saw him basically his entire life. If McCaffrey wins, it would then be the second father-son tandem to win a Super Bowl with the same organization. The first was, do you remember Zach, was it Diossi on the Giants? I don't know. I'm probably pronouncing his name incorrectly.
The long snapper?
Steve Odiot.
Steve did, yeah. Well,
yes. I do know who you're talking
about.
They
were the first father, so I just butchered their last name. I'm very sorry. Diossi?
Yeah, Steve Diossi.
Diossi?
Yeah.
Oh, sounding it out more is not
going to help you. I know. They were the first father-son tandem to win for the Giants. McCaffrey's would, for the 49ers, be the second. And another storyline, this is what Mike Jones is writing in his piece for The Athletic. Would McCaffrey be the best running back of this generation? I think he already is, regardless of winning a Super Bowl. He's third right now in all-purpose yards among current running backs, active running backs. Zeke is actually number 1.
Well,
people forget how good Zeke has been.
Who are the backs like this generation?
Derrick Henry and Zeke.
Someone else. Barkley, but he's hurt too much. I think it's It's probably Henry.
I mean, I think like
McCaffrey.
Adrian Peterson is better than Christian McCaffrey.
Well, yeah, but that's
But I
a
guess
separate
It's just-
generation.
there was not much overlap there. I mean, they were drafted like 8 years apart.
Yeah,
I guess Derrick Henry could be close to being,
No, McCaffrey's the best. He's
but
number one.
his injuries are just the rusher that Derrick Henry is just amazing. Yeah, it's gotta be McCaffrey still.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah,
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey can do things.
A Super Bowl wouldn't hurt.
And then saving the best for last here, Trent Williams, although actually phenomenal player, arguably top 10 in the NFL, period, regardless of position. Trent Williams, a Pro Bowler in 11 or 13 years, first team All-Pro the last 3 years. Remember, the Vikings went out to get him, and Trent Williams basically said, why the hell would I want to play for the Vikings? And instead goes to San Francisco, where he now has a shot at the Super Bowl. It shows Trent Williams actually is a pretty smart guy at the end of the day, but he could really cement his legacy as one of the greatest offensive linemen ever, go win a Super Bowl, maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think it honestly means nothing.
Well, I don't care about I'm not watching this for the Trent Williams storyline, but it's still there.
But here's the thing. It's like, if Trent Williams blocks his ass off, which he will, and the Niners score 30 points and lose 34-30, like
No one's going to talk about it.
Trent Williams is still just as amazing as if the Niners win the Super Bowl. Like, he just got to block his man and protect Brock Purdy.
Yeah, but it would be nice to be
Like, it doesn't
at his Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony when they go Super Bowl champion Trent Williams.
I get it, yes. But it just.
But that is the only difference it makes is what they will say when he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Let's say, what if you lose the game? You lose the game 17-10, and he allows 4, or you win 17-10, and he allows 4 sacks.
It is funny to think about Trent Williams as an all-time great at left tackle. Like, this is Ray Lewis. This is a more notable position. It's a huge storyline. One of the greatest of all time. Possibly last year, still at a high level. Can they go out on top? The fact that he's an offensive lineman is what throws this whole story.
Also, you consider the fact that he almost died a couple years ago.
How did he almost die again?
The cancer.
Oh, yeah, geez.
People forget why he asked out of Washington. It's because they said, don't worry about that little growth on your head. And it turned out to be like a life-threatening sarcoma.
He
need to take a year off.
He's amazing. He's just unbelievable.
I'm rooting for him.
You'll have money on him.
I will. Certainly will.
You'll have money on him.
Protect Brock's
So those
butt.
were your 10 storylines to focus on in the Super Bowl. Again, that was Mike Jones wrote a piece for The Athletic that just caught our attention. And let us know which one you find the most interesting.
Or if you got a different one.
Yeah, or if you have another storyline, and tell us why it's the Travis Kelce-Taylor Swift storyline. But remember, our first big audience for this show was Taylor Swift fans.
That's true. I think that's the second to last storyline that I care about.
I'll be excited when the Chiefs win and she's on the field. Maybe she'll even give a little speech. But I guess I do like Taylor Swift. So
she won't give a speech.
All right, Ziggy, why are you so pissed off about Ben Johnson and the Commanders right now?
So
you might be the only person in the country other than like a professional reporter who's mad about this.
I want to read you a little thing from an article that was published today by The Athletic about Ben Johnson, the Commanders. Here's a little excerpt.
Are you going to give a little background as to what happened?
Yeah, so Ben Johnson, Lions offensive coordinator, one of the best coordinators in the NFL. Bizarrely now, a little bizarrely, twice it seems he's been in line to get head coaching jobs and has backed out. So the Commanders were upset that he backed out. He sent them a text message saying, hey guys, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to take the job. And here's how they respond. Here's a little excerpt from a piece that was totally not written by angry Commanders ownership. The NFL world, it says, praised the Lions offensive coordinator as the next in line. In the context of alpha head coaches, however, it turned out they were coveting a false idol. When pundits and internet rumors flooded the zone for weeks with claims that Johnson, 37, was the overwhelming favorite, if not a lock, higher in Washington, a downside of Harris running a largely leak-free search, minimal pushback occurred. The gleefully ignorant voices were unaware, or chose not to care, that the consummation assumption came from an echo chamber of gossip rather than factual information. Set aside how bad the prose is here, right? You've got other things from this article talking about how, quote, the Commanders' ownership emanated sanity, vision, and competence. Like,
yeah,
there's a problem.
They're trying to embarrass Ben Johnson here.
Well, no, so here's what's funny about this is over the course of this, 3 different stories in the past 24 hours have come out about why Ben Johnson didn't get the job. First, the Commanders said that he had a horrible, well, the Commanders leaked, but these insider leaks are always people from the organization.
Yeah.
First was that he had a terrible interview. Apparently, this interview was so bad they had to fly out on a private jet to meet with him immediately. Then it was that he was asking for too much money. Then it was that actually he totally betrayed them. Poor Dan Quinn, I can't believe I'm saying this, having to read articles about how he was the Commanders' third choice for the job. But something is rotten in the state of sports media when you've got like insider journalists, right? They're not even journalists. They're just people who repeat whatever like agents tell them to repeat or ownership tells them to repeat. Running stories, running hit pieces on a guy that like, he just wants to stick with the Lions and coordinate an offense. He didn't hurt anyone. He said no to a job run by like obvious psychos because this is how they're treating him. The guy wants to win a Super Bowl in Detroit and now he's being villainized.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
It's just a little bit more background on what's going on. After Art Johnson interviewed with the new owner, Josh Harris, and Adam Peters, the new general manager, they actually were on, like you said, Ziggy, on a plane to Michigan to interview him a second time. And to
interview Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, they made it very clear Aaron Glenn was just a token minority interview. Because there's no reason to get this upset if you're flying to visit someone you already want to interview, right?
Well, they were on the plane when they got the text from Johnson saying that he wasn't going to do the job. So the Commanders brass felt, a little bit. It sounds like they were insulted by this, and that's why they're attacking Johnson in all these ways, saying not the top candidate, didn't interview well. Like, of course you want Ben Johnson. You want a 37-year-old offensive coach to guide your next rookie quarterback, whether that's Drake May or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. It was very clear that he was the guy they wanted. And you're right, Ziggy. It's pretty embarrassing for Washington, the franchise that is hoping to finally get out of this, get out of all of these embarrassing stories around them. When they asked Johnson about it, he just said he was turned off by this was leaked, that Johnson was turned off by the Commanders ownership, saying they were basketball guys and a little too confident in their football opinions.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little back and forth here, right? But like, I think it is very clear that the Commanders ownership is incompetent. It's the same old, same old. They're like trying to use their media contacts and their insiders to try and like score points. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the like so-called journalists that play along with it. It's embarrassing for the Washington Commanders. Like, it's an embarrassment for the whole industry that this crap happens just because a guy doesn't want to work for a dysfunctional franchise.
Ziggy taking a stand against the press.
Look, it's
this could come back to bite us. We're gonna have some hate pieces written about this show.
I've got theories about journalism. I think a lot about fake news as part of my job. There's another PhD student here who's working on a great piece. It's good stuff.
Plug it. Yeah. So
I'll power to Mr. Z.
So what the Commanders
out.
actually wound up doing, they hired Dan Quinn as head coach, and they're basically going to have Kliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy's out.
In case you thought this was a desirable job, look at the guys they were able to get.
Yeah. So Kliff Kingsbury comes in, and now all the talk is Caleb Williams because Kliff Kingsbury was in USC. I believe what was his official title in USC this year? It was senior offensive analyst and quarterbacks coach. So
yeah,
of course
he did great. He really good job.
Yeah, well, I mean that offense
took him to the holiday. Took him to the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm not. No, he didn't do. Look,
Caleb Williams was much worse this year than last year.
Yeah, but the offensive line was horrible. No Jordan Addison. Like I think there was reason for
stinks.
Caleb Williams being worse off.
I would not want to reunite Caleb Williams with Kliff Kingsbury. I think that might be the worst.
Disaster!
You guys are crazy.
I called this too. He's going to ruin it.
You guys are pissing me off, and you're pissing me off like a lot of other media people right now because Caleb Williams for 2 years, was the by far can't miss surefire prospect that everyone in the world wanted. And all of a sudden he has one bad year when the team around him is pretty bad.
No, when the conference gets better, he's bad.
Okay. No, so first of all, two things, Paul. First of all, when did I say I like Drake May more than Caleb Williams for the first time? When did I say that?
No, you have always said that.
And number two, I'm not saying Caleb Williams shouldn't go at the top of the draft. I'm saying that when you see a player regress dramatically in like certain ways when they start working with a coach, like Caleb Williams, his number one problem as a prospect is holding onto the ball. Kliff Kingsbury got him holding onto the ball longer and hit every other play. Like, you don't want to reunite players with coaches they had their career worst with.
I mean, the conference
that is what the Commanders are going to do.
500.
Look, I still like Caleb.
There's no
He's going to be the number
coincidence.
one pick.
You should like Caleb Williams.
He'll be the
You
number one
shouldn't
pick
like
in
the
draft.
Caleb
He shouldn't
Williams
be.
Kliff Kingsbury combo.
That should be Marvin Harris. He should be number one.
Well, here's something that a lot of people aren't realizing, though, is that Kliff Kingsbury actually has a close connection with Phil Longo, who was the North Carolina offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach from 2019 to 2022, who's been there. Sam Howell and Drake May. So there's also a connection to the Drake May camp, as well as your current starter, Sam Howell. And that Kingsbury offense, the air raid, that's exactly what those guys ran with Phil in North Carolina. So you could actually have some familiarity with the system that those two quarterbacks excelled with. Another reason to be excited there. But Kliff Kingsbury, I know he was made fun of a lot, but you didn't like him, right? You don't like Kingsbury at all?
No, I mean the guy is Patrick Mahomes and goes 5-7 in the Big 12.
Yeah. Boy,
No
do
way.
I wish I had Kliff Kingsbury's agent, man. And Matt, like, can you believe he's getting an offensive coordinating job in the NFL again after the disaster in Arizona and the destruction of Caleb
You know,
Williams?
this dude had a quarterback who's won 3 Super Bowls already, and it's talked about as one of the best ever already. And Texas, he was irrelevant in college. In a high-scoring Big 12 with Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech was irrelevant under Kliff Kingsbury.
So
That's so bad.
You know how many winning records in conference Kliff Kingsbury had?
This is vicious.
You know how many winning records in, the Big 12 from 2013 to 2018 was a decent conference. Do you know how many records at or above 500 he had?
0.
Yeah, 0 in conference. He had 2 records over 500 over the course of his tenure.
No, he
But-
ruins people.
No, he was 19-35 in conference in the Big 12. Get him out of here.
And now you could relate it back to your Ben Johnson rant here. Do you really think that the Commanders would have preferred Kingsbury, and not that Dan Quinn's a bad coach or anything, but
Dan Quinn has
and Kingsbury, or Ben Johnson, who the coveted prize of the offseason for every team?
The reason
you
why
think about it.
No, it's obvious, and the reason why Dan Quinn had a tough time in Atlanta and got fired was because once Shanahan left, he couldn't find an offensive coordinator to save his life. Surprise. Now these are the Commanders. The number one red flag is who he has an offensive coordinator. Whatever quarterback gets drafted there, whether it's May or Williams, I am sorry. You will have to face the crumbling FedEx field, the non-existent infrastructure, ownership that's not willing to spend a little bit of money to ensure your success. Because let's not forget, they wanted Mike McDonald and got outbid. Despite Josh Harris being worth, $7 billion, he couldn't cough up $2 million more for McDonald. Like, get him. They're not serious. Get him out of here.
Wow. Yeah, Ziggy doesn't like the Commanders. Okay, let's wrap up here. We were talking about Ben Johnson. It just sparked another interesting conversation for us. He's going back to Detroit. He wants to win a Super Bowl there, and maybe he just wants to stay out of Washington. It's very possible, and try and get a job next season when some better openings will probably be available. But he's going back to this Detroit team, which just won the NFC North for the first time ever, won a division for the first time in 30 years. And the NFC North is actually a division now where the Packers, everything looks like it's on the up and up for them. The Bears have the number 1 pick in the draft and a great turnaround towards the end of the season. The Vikings, good coaching staff. Kirk Cousins maybe comes back. This division, which was pretty bad at the start of the season, is now looking like it could be competitive next year. So what I wanted to ask you guys is if you could pick to be, actually rank it for the next 5 years, if you were to be a fan.
So easy.
You think if you could be a fan of one of these teams for the next 5 years, how do you rank it 1 to 4?
Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. That's such an easy ranking to me.
Yeah,
I think the Lions are definitely the best team in the division. Young core. Hutchinson's a beast. He's 22 years old.
Would you pick the possibly the Packers over the Lions?
No, but the Packers are a clear cut 2 for me. Bears are 3, Vikings 4. That's super easy to me.
You're with him, Ziggy?
Close. For me, the Packers are at 1. They have the stronger, more exciting quarterback with more upside on that offense, I think. It could go either way. I think the Lions and the Packers are very close, but between the youth on the Packers, to me, is the tiebreaker. They've done more younger. Lions are the 2. Eventually, Ben Johnson's going to leave, but they got a great coach. They got a functional offense. They've got an up-and-up defense. The Bears have fresh, exciting young talent, and after next year, they'll have a fresh, exciting head coach. So that's exciting stuff. And then the Vikings. What's there to say?
One executive said it's insane how many holes the Vikings have. But let me ask you this. Imagine Kirk Cousins comes back next season. Is it that crazy to think Minnesota could win the division with Kirk Cousins?
No, I mean, next year, no.
Like, I think all of these teams actually could be pretty good next year.
But at this point, like, how much longer is Cousins playing?
Yeah, the problem is you said 5. There's like a 30 to 40% chance I think Cousins comes back.
Sure.
But even if he does, he's 35. He's got 1 or 2 more years left in him, really. And then I think if you take out quarterback, we've got the worst roster.
Probably.
And then Kirk Cousins, you've only got him for a year or 2. It's not getting better from here.
What the way it works for the Vikings is you bring back Kirk, and he's could hopefully keep close to the level of play he had this year, and then you draft a young quarterback and sort of copy the Packers pattern actually, and hope that whoever your dude is, whether it's Jaden Daniels if they trade up or Bo Nix, Michael Penix, whoever it is,
I like Bo
can
Nix.
then step in.
Day 3 pick, Bo Nix.
But when you're talking about young talent on rookie contracts right now, the Vikings have Jordan Addison and Ivan Pace Jr., and that's it. Like that. The Lions have, I mean, holy crap, Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Branch, and Laporta. And Green Bay, Quay Walker, Wyatt, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Lucas Van Ness, Jaden Reed. Like, those are 2 teams. I think they are the clear 1-2. But Chicago, there's a lot to be desired with Chicago right now.
Yeah, I mean, if Chicago, I would go out there and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Fields, Harrison Jr., and DJ Moore.
Yeah.
I think maybe draft a lineman at 5 or 6, whenever they pick next.
So at 1, Ziggy, you had the Packers, you had the Lions, Jack. I'm with Ziggy, actually. I'd go Green Bay for the same exact reason.
The Lions, you don't, the franchise is cursed. They've had a great year, but there's so much bad juju still. The Packers, you just know, are going to be competitive year in, year out.
I mean, I think it's the opposite. Like, I think this Lions team is really good and should be playing in the Super Bowl. Whereas I don't know
yet. You think Green Bay maybe just got hot?
Like, if Green Bay, maybe they jumped the gun a little bit. Yeah. I think the Lions are better than the Packers, but I think it's close.
Yeah, I guess I'm anticipating that Jordan Love is going to carry it on into next season. And the Lions are a very good team. It's funny, though. I'm worried that maybe Jared Goff regresses.
Maybe, but...
Like, who are you more confident in next season, Jared Goff or Jordan Love? Who would you rather have?
Probably Jordan Love.
Has to be Love, right?
But I think the Lions with Gibbs and Montgomery,
they're a more complete
Amon
team.
Ra. Like, it's hard. It really is hard for Goff not to be decent enough.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So I guess we're pretty similar there, where the Vikings are 4 for everyone. There's a world where Chicago could get up there. I'm telling you. When they take Caleb Williams, they could be.
No, they go to 4. Then they go to 4.
If all the Chicago draft picks hit and they're somehow able to figure out the offense, like, there is a lot to like here. The thing is, they've just got the widest range of outcomes, I think, in the NFC North.
I would agree, but I believe they could be number 1 on this. They are a secret contender for the number 1 brightest future in the NFC.
If they take Williams, they're 4. You're crazy. If they stick with Fields,
I can't wait till we get to the draft. I mean,
same.
But you're placing another Bryce Young bet on this. I know you're so far seem to be right on Bryce, but
oh yeah, I think Bryce Young is the worst ever. Caleb's better than Caleb. Caleb's better than Bryce Young.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens. The Lions and Bears both have a lot of salary cap too. It's crazy the Lions have so much salary cap for a team that should be in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah,
just nuts. But we'll have a lot more NFC North coverage as the offseason continues. Probably the week after the Super Bowl, or maybe the week following that, we'll do a NFC North roundup where we talk about all the team seasons. We'll break it down a little bit, and we'll continue that for each division throughout the offseason. And then we'll get into draft content. And just like that, training camp, boom, season starts. So it's closer than you think, even though we're not even done with the 2023 season.
It's right around the corner.
All right. So for Jack, Ziggy, thank you, Mrs. Bloomquist, for filling in for Zach today.
The best DP in the game.
We appreciate the commentary, too. The Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce commentary. Maybe Super Bowl parade in Kansas City. We'll have to get out there after they win. Maybe a little concert, too. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I would go.
Oh, no, she's in Australia after.
Oh, you're very on top of this.
Yes, I heard it today. So she's in Australia.
Could you?
Japan, here for the game, and back into Australia the next day.
She's incredible, isn't she, Taylor Swift?
So they'll lose. She'll fly to Australia. Travis Kelce will be pissed because he lost. And then she'll phone him from overseas and break up.
She has a
with
new
him.
album coming out, too. She announced that at the Grammys. It's like poets or something.
Could you imagine
poets.
a Travis Kelce breakup
Tortured
album and
poets.
she wrote it in advance?
Oh yeah, well, we already did that. You could go look on our timeline.
Oh yeah, it's like 40,000 Instagram stories of the same picture.
You know what? Let me ask you, Jack. If let's pretend Taylor Swift performed at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade, how many times more attendance do you think they get?
At the parade?
Yeah.
Probably like 12 times than they normally would.
The city of Kansas City would be overrun.
That would.
Yeah.
Like you've seen The Walking Dead, you know those scenes where there's like the hordes of zombies like swarming through Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
That is what Kansas City would look like.
And let me tell you, that's why her narrative with Travis Kelce is interesting. Because when you have 12 times the amount of people who would show up,
it's not.
That's why it's
there
interesting.
are lots of
Not
people who
interesting.
care. Again, I have no problem with it. It's just I've never intentionally listened to a Taylor Swift song. I do not plan to. I like watching football. The music I listen to is much stranger than what Taylor Swift puts out. I'm not really all that interested.
My prediction is she gets with Brock Purdy after he wins the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll go on record to say that. That's my prediction.
so you're already sprinkling on the
Young,
next
good-looking dude in Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl.
Cougar phase.
Revenge story. And Swift's like, you know what? Like, he's a cute kid. He's a baller.
What am I doing with this
What
older
am I doing
guy?
with this weird dude with this beard? Let me go to Brock
I like
Purdy.
Travis Kelce. All right, let's wrap this up
Taylor and Brock.
before Ziggy turns off the computer.
Big blank Brock.
Oh yeah. Thank you for censoring that. All right, there you go,
Ziggy,
Ziggy. We'll see you guys for the Super Bowl prediction show. Wow, one game left. Sheesh. See ya.
Oh, he's back.